did the impossible, overcame obstacles, I took the lead and they following. I heard that she was a model that's fucking and swallowing.
To back with another banger video for you guys. Now today's video we'll be reacting to top 10 kids reacting to life sentences. These kids look really young from the pictures. Now they could be older, but make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Show all your friends for banger videos. We out. Alright, let's get straight into it. Watching this one.
Hey everyone, it's Sean.
And if you guys have any other videos like this or just TikTok compilation videos you guys want me to react to, comment them down below.
When are we going through the top 10 kids reacting to life sentences?
To be honest, I wonder if I've seen any of these on the news. I wonder.
Your son's back.
Why did you do it?
Let's go.
Why?
In number 10 spot, we've got 3 teenagers, including this 17-year-old girl who were being read their charges. And I don't think this girl understood the implications of some of the things that she did and what charges you could get for them. So when she was being read these charges, it's like things completely set in about how absolutely screwed she was.
You have 3 warrants for armed robbery and 1 warrant for felony murder.
And apparently shocked, Fernanda Torres threw glares at her 2 co-defendants, Nicholas Evans and Khalil Miller, before the magnitude of her situation seemed to settle in.
Those are the charges that are pending right now.
Moving to 9, this one makes me really mad. I mean, this guy, he is the absolute definition of pure human scum. There's no better way to put it. He and a couple of his friends, his buddies, went and broke into this house. It had an 81-year-old woman inside of it. She was just cooking dinner, minding her own business, enjoying her life. And these teenagers basically just offed her because they wanted to steal some stuff. And then when they got to court, one of them, this guy, he just didn't care the entire time. He thought it was a game. He was literally laughing, yawning, and on top of that, sleeping during this whole court process. I mean, he showed absolutely no remorse. It was ridiculous. It's not really a surprise, but I'm happy that it happened, but they ended up getting sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole.
With a chuckle, a laugh, and yawn after yawn, David Moses acted strangely at his sentencing this morning, appearing to fall asleep in his chair not once, but twice.
That man went to sleep. That shit fucked up.
He thought this was a game. There was just no expression of remorse whatsoever for his actions.
Edinburgh, you've got a teenager who's facing 30 years to life in prison. He actually killed 2 brothers. I'm not exactly sure why, but when he was walking into the courtroom, he was actually smiling. He wasn't exactly laughing, but he certainly didn't seem very remorseful.
Did anybody see that one video? I'll try to find it. I think I got it saved on Instagram or something. The guy, they had him in the wheelchair. He was screaming and stuff. I think that was earlier last year or this year. I can't remember. But he was screaming in the chair and stuff, and they had to put the mask on him and stuff. I think that's on here.
Even the mother of these 2 brothers was very angry about that. But when he was crying and telling like his little story about why he shouldn't get a harsher sentence or something like that, trying to cut the years down, he was crying like an absolute
I'm sorry.
baby.
If somebody put 20 years on you, and if you cut that down to like 10, that's still a long time to be in prison. So I feel like you might as well do 20. Like 10 years in prison, a year in prison, that's a long time. Imagine how the world can change in a year. Look how Corona, you look at last school semester, let's just take last year. The whole school year, nothing. And then you just look up Corona. And then look at this whole year was basically just trash. So a lot can happen in 1 year. So, like,
people who watched this thought that this was clearly a dude who didn't really care that he had done what he had done, but now he's very upset about the fact that he's facing, life in prison.
Family and friends share a heartbreaking message as a teenager who killed 2 brothers is sentenced to more than 30 years in prison.
Hurting the victim's family. I never went there with that intention of hurting them. And I wish I could give you.
They slapped 30 years on y'all. That's what you go to.
You've got a teenage boy who stabbed another teenager, this girl, in Colorado, and for some other reason, on top of that, he actually tried to kill this girl's younger sister as well, but was unsuccessful in doing so, and she ended up speaking in court. But this dude, this kid, this teenager, he ended up really breaking down when his own mother spoke about how she didn't know just where or when something went wrong with him, but clearly he was messed up, and she was basically, really apologizing to the family. I mean, you could tell that she was really sad about it. But this boy ended up facing life in prison, which he rightfully deserves.
And he was a sweet and gentle child. Yes, he was. We've heard that from everybody. And then something broke. What that something was, I can't say, but my God, it broke. If I could put myself in her position, I would. I would. I swear. She didn't deserve to die.
Moving through 6, this one's pretty twisted. This involves a 17-year-old boy, and his grandfather had just moved in with him, his dad, and that kind of stuff, into their house. And apparently this grandfather was an alcoholic, so some serious problems started between him.
What, dude? Thought my little brother wanted something.
And the grandfather, you know, there was just a bunch of tension and issues that arose inside of this household afterwards, and things continued to escalate and escalate until one night, this 17-year-old actually killed his own grandfather, and he did this with a hatchet. Definitely a really gruesome way to do it, but I will say, though, that unlike a lot of these other cases, this is one of those where the kid did actually show quite a bit of what I think is actual remorse afterwards, so he's not just some plain sociopath comparatively.
Kill somebody with a
but
fucking
obviously
hatchet.
he ended up getting life in prison for what he did.
Martin attacked his grandfather, hitting him 15 times over the head. The gory crime scene causing him to ask aloud in front of one of the deputies, "What did I just do?" The defense, however, arguing his client did not have a normal upbringing, functioning as an adult when he should have been treated like a child.
How do you know number 5? This has got to be one of the most messed up ones on this entire list, just because of the scope of the crime. But this involves a guy named Nehemiah Griego. I said his name wrong, I'm sorry, but he was 15 years old when he killed not only both of his parents, but 3 of his younger siblings. Apparently he did have another sister as well who was older. She was not there at the time, but she was there in court.
This nigga just wiped out half his fucking family. Who do you think he was, Assassin's Creed?
While he was speaking, and he talked about how he wished that his uncle was his dad, and said a bunch of other really messed up stuff that really just set off his sister. I mean, she cried so much that she actually had to leave the courtroom, and it's just a really messed up
situation. What, Duke? I'm recording the video.
Oh, I didn't know.
Let's get back into it.
And story altogether.
Little brother keep coming.
For taking
Okay, hold on. What is that?
parents and our students.
Sorry for taking off. I could take it all right.
You know, I wish I could take it back, but reality is that we can't.
You've basically been a second father to me. You're the father I wish I had.
You can hear his sister start crying in the courtroom. You can hear her storm out of the courtroom in tears.
This shit, whew.
We need to exercise our right to vote.
I have to think about where my voice will be heard, and I don't see that ever really happening in the Trump presidency.
I want someone who I respect. I won't necessarily disclose who I'm gonna vote for, but I'll just say I'm not voting for Trump.
Griego glanced at her, but carried on.
In the number 4 spot, this one is really messed up. It's not as, crazy when it comes to the scope as the last one, but the reason for doing so is definitely one of the craziest on this list. This Missouri teen, she got sentenced to life in prison for killing this girl. She's only 9 years old. It was apparently one of her neighbors, and the reason that she did it was super chilling. It's actually kind of terrifying. She killed this 9-year-old all because she wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. So this girl is literally a psychopath.
Prosecutors cited a diary. They say Bustamante wrote, "I don't know how to feel, ATM. It was amazing. As soon as you get over the, oh my God, I can't do this feeling, it's pretty enjoyable." Bustamante was 15 when she confessed to strangling Elizabeth Olten, repeatedly stabbing her in the chest and slicing the girl's throat. In court for sentencing Wednesday, Bustamante offered an apology to Olten's family. She said, "If I could give my life to bring her back, I would. I'm sorry."
Moving through, we've got another messed up one. This one involves TJ Lane. This guy, he actually killed 3 students at his school, and this is him at the sentencing, and he showed absolutely no remorse whatsoever. I mean, this guy is just an awful person all around, altogether. He actually wore a t-shirt that said "killer" on it, which was basically just to mock all the families of the people. And then on top of that, when they were speaking, he was speaking, he actually flipped them off as if it wouldn't be bad enough to deal with, losing a child.
As soon as TJ Lane walked in, he was executing his plan, taking off his button-down shirt to reveal this. a white t-shirt with the word killer scribbled on it, showing it off with a smug smile on his face. He wore one like it the day of the shootings. Parents of the victims called Lane a monster, a pathetic excuse for a human being, and wished him a slow, torturous death.
Why? Why did you do it? Why?
Throughout their statements, Lane just smiled, and at one point even raised his middle finger to victims' families. And his statement to the court, just too vulgar to say.
Moving on to, finally, we have a little bit more of a lighthearted one. This one's not going to be quite as depressing, I guess you could say, but this involves a teenager. He's 19 years old, but he is charged with a first-degree felony, which basically means, at least in this specific case scenario, he is facing 5 years to life in prison. But the reason for this is actually kind of crazy. Apparently, he had some pot brownies, and because of some of the stuff that was in it, and some specific laws in his state, he's facing, like I said, 5 years to life in prison for pot brownies, which is kind of actually infuriating because, quite frankly, it's not that big of a deal. And a lot of people were outraged, and I think this ended up getting sorted out, but ridiculous that this was a scenario in the first place.
That's not so bad. Pot brownies,
Pay raises for the military are
I went to school with kids that brung them down.
And retention.
I see a lot of
over
them.
the year.
Allegedly mixed in hash oil. Under Texas law, that THC oil can be treated like a far more serious narcotic, ecstasy. What's more, because a few drops of oil were cooked in, police weighed the entire brownie batch, sugar, flour, butter, and charged him with possessing a pound and a half of drugs.
And finally, number one, starting this video off with a teenager who is facing 16 years to life in prison. And she actually ran over somebody on purpose. Apparently there's some boyfriend dispute going on or something, so she literally ran this dude over, from what I understand, and it was purely on purpose. It wasn't like it was some accident or something like that, like she didn't see him or something, which kind of is ridiculous that she's only facing 16 years to life, which, you know, she could face life, but the potential for parole after 16 years after doing this on purpose when she knew exactly what she's doing is kind of pathetic.
I tore your family apart and I caused awful pain to Mr. Fisher. I'm sorry, I'm ashamed, and I'm willing to face my consequences. The moment she decided to take his life became the same moment she robbed me and my children of a lifetime of love, memories, and a future.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like on it, and also subscribe to my channel and check out the other parts to this, because this is like a part 5, so I'll leave.
I might react to some other parts of that, but that shit is crazy. I feel like the weirdest one in them was the pot brownies. I feel like that's common. Like, I watch niggas do that on TikTok. But I don't know. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Share with all your friends for banger videos. And we out.